Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. It's an update on my Endymion Pendulum deck. I decided to go back and rearrange some of my ratios and try out some new techs. And there was one build recently that I've been seeing around. I've actually got my attention on it because it's actually really good. It can bring out Crystal Wing very easily if you are able to at least. And yeah, it's just like you don't need Agarpain at all. Generally you never really needed it, but it's really nice that you could still make Crystal Wing if you wanted to. But I try not to turbo out to it too much because, it is prone to cards like impermanence. So that's one of the reasons why. But the cool thing about this deck is that I can still pump out like multiple negates, multiple disruptions, and just like essentially you just basically floodgate your opponent as well. And I'll get to why you can do that. So I figured I should just show you what I got this time around. And yeah, let's just go from there. So this is not really a pure Endymion deck, but I'm still utilizing the package as much as I can because the cards are still really good. This deck is pretty much good against all the meta right now. I think the only deck it really loses to, potentially Magical Musket, since it's a deck that's built on breaking boards. So yeah, you'll just have to like basically see how that goes from time to time. First, starting off with 3 copies of Servant of Endymion. This is your best card in the entire deck, and the most important one. Each time a spell card is activated, you place a spell counter on this. And of course, if it has 3, you can remove them, special summon this card from your Pendulum zone, and one other monster with 1,000 or more attack points that you can place a pendulum or a spell counter on. So usually use this card to turbo into Jackal King, and honestly, Jackal King is also one of your most important pieces of this deck because this deck can easily out Nibiru. You never have to worry about it. It plays around hand traps so effectively. That's why I don't even run Called by the Grave even. So that's what I like about Pendulums. It's just a really powerful combo deck and probably one of the more broken ones. So yeah. Moving on, 2 copies of Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. This card's actually really excellent going second too because you essentially remove 6 spell counters and you can pop any number of cards based on however many cards you have with spell counters on them. So it's just a good way to clear boards. And the best thing about this is that since it's a pendulum effect, it can't be hit with impermanence or effect failure. So you literally have to, your opponent will literally have to Ghost Ogre this as soon as you declare activation. And not many people are running that right now for some reason. Also, this card, the monster effect of this card is really good because he negates spells and traps. And as long as he has a spell counter, he can't be targeted. So, really nice. Next, I'm only running one of each of Reflection and Magister. Simply because, like, again, this is not really a pure Endymion deck, but these 2 cards are very much searchable. Reflection is a good card to bounce back like problematic monsters like Dingirusu, Thunder Dragon Colossus, anything that can't really be destroyed by card effects. And Magister of Endymion is just another extender piece, so he's really nice. The fact that he can summon out from the extra deck is really nice, so you definitely want to get out another Jackal King if you're able to. Most of the time I can already sit on 2 Jackal Kings even without the help of this card, but it's still nice just to have something like that in your arsenal. Next we're coming to the second best card, 3 copies of Magical Abductor. Her effect is not a hard once per turn, it's a soft once per turn, so it is possible to get like 2 of these out on board and just like keep building up spell counters. Move 3 to search out any Pendulum card you want. So like you use her once, pop her with Electromite, and if you have to have another one, you could just keep building up your spell counter. So Magical Abductor is really good in that aspect. So yeah, definitely recommend this at 3 now, just because you definitely want to be able to get all your combo pieces. So yeah. Next, 2 copies of Curtain Raiser. I don't really recommend 3 especially because its ability is once per dual effect. So I just use it as an opener piece in case if I don't have any ways to normal summon. So place this in your Pendulum zone. Have no monsters on field. You can special summon this card for free. I'm running 2 copies of Jackal King and only that. I'm not running Garuda right now because we're not really in a format where there's a lot of spell and trap card decks right now. But you still need to look out for those. So if you happen to have a way of going second, you should be just fine without Garuda. But yeah, Jackal King is amazing because, negates monster effects. And the negation is not hard once per turn. So you have 2 of these, you can negate 2 times. Next, of course, got to play the Chronograph Sorcerer, probably the best extender in the entire deck. Just the fact that you can bring out Time Gazer Magician just to help you get into a free Electromite, and the fact that it summons itself if a card is popped, so really good. And of course, you have to run the one Time Gazer Magician. If you open up with Time Gazer, that's unfortunate, but it's one of the reasons why I'm running Allure Darkness. You just banish it once you draw your 2 cards. Now, because I am running Pot of Desires, and I have multiple ways of getting my dragons to the grave, I'm actually decided only running 2 copies of Dark Worm this time because, again, this deck doesn't necessarily commit too hard on its normal summon. you just generally want to try to get this card in your graveyard as quickly as you can, and there are ways you can do that. Now, if I do open up with it, then yeah, it becomes one of your best normal summons, and that's no problem. But Darkworm, you definitely just need it as an extender. Goes into your Guardragons, so that's really all there is to say about it. And of course, you can use him to search out your Gate 0. The fact that you have a 0 scale makes it that much easier just to Pendulum summon. And it's a level 7 monster too, so you can go into cards like Absolute Dragon, so yeah. Next, I'm running my Dragon package. I'm running Ether, the Empowering Dragon. It was either going to be this or Sloth, and I just prefer this card because, it can act as a form of disruption. And the fact that to me, just gives you better value. Running one Tempest now just because, you can discard this card and one Wind Monster to search out your Darkworm if you wanted to, or you can just summon it out for free with its effect. It's just another free extender piece to go into your Dragon place, and it's also a level 7, so yeah. And of course, you can't have it without Destrudo. It's a level 7 Dragon, which becomes a viable tuner, so yeah. And there's a pretty cool combo with this card that helps you enable to go into Crystal Wing, so we'll get to that momentarily. Alright, now moving on to spells. I'm running 3 copies of Spell Power Mastery. Now keep in mind, I don't have Into the Void, so I can't really play it, but that's fine, I don't really need it. 3 Allure Darkness, definitely just to get you some draw power, as well as 2 copies of Pot of Desires. I kind of go off and on with 3 or 2. For this build, I'm only running it at 2. For here on out, it's really just a bunch of 1-Us. Let's just start with the field spells. Got 1 Magical Citadel. It's kind of a brick if you run multiples of this, but I do like it, the fact that you can get multiple spell counters, and just, if you need to remove some for cost, you can just use it from here. Secret Village of Spellcasters, a really powerful floodgate. If you control a spellcaster, your opponent can activate spell cards, and of course you can give this to your opponent with Set Rotation, which I should probably mention that now. Set Rotation is actually one of the win conditions of this deck. You essentially give your opponent either Secret Village or Magical Citadel. Most of the time it's better just to give them Secret Village, because there's a chance they might not have spellcasters at all, and if they don't, then they're screwed because they can't activate spells whatsoever. And this really hurts the Sky Striker matchup too, so Sky Strikers pretty much have to skip as soon as they activate this card. 1 Dragon Ravine, which is one of my ways to get either Destrudo, Darkworm, or even Tempest to the Grave, Dragon Shrine, and Foolish Burial. So in a sense, I'm technically running 3 copies of Dragon Shrine, but I'm just doing 1 of each because, these 2 are hard ones per turns, and this one is only a 1 of anyway, so yeah. Of course, you got to run Terraforming just to search out one of these field spells. Set Rotation, again, this card is so broken in this deck, it might as well be panned at this point on. And then the last card, Upstart Goblin. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. That's 40 cards. Let's go and move on to the extra deck. My extra deck's slightly different this time around, so let's go through it real quick. Got 1 Electromite, still needed at 1, even though it's limited. Still one of your more important pieces. Got Hieratic Seal, it's a good way to disrupt your opponent and bring out your Ether. Dragoonity Knight Romulus. So this card is really cool because of the fact that it searches out Dragon Ravine, so you have instant access to another Dragon Shrine-ish card. So yeah. Of course, run the Guardragons LP and Pisty still, just a good way to extend your combos. 1 Triple Burst, just a good way to get the arrows you need if you need to summon out of your deck with a Dragon type monster with LP's effect or Pisty, depending on your situation. Still got to run 1 Saryuja. Appaloosa for more negation. She negates monster effects once per chain, so Appaloosa is really good. Most of the time I usually just have her with 3 counters, but it is possible to get 4. It just depends on how well my board is established, so sometimes I have to do one or the other. And then Boral Sword Dragon is just a good win con right there. For my synchros, I'm running F.A. Dawn Drexler. So this is actually one of the monsters you target to go into Crystal Wing. Like with Destrudo, you usually target one of your level 6 monsters, either Chronograph or Jackal King, and then synchro summon with this card into Crystal Wing. But another option you can go with, and this is actually my own special tech, Clearwing Fast Dragon. So this card is very strong. It's very experimental too. You just need a tuner and a non-tuner wind monster. Servant of Endymion is a wind monster, so you can target her with Destrudo and instantly go into Clearwing Fast Dragon. It's a Pendulum monster, so even if it's destroyed, you can bring it back next turn because, it'll go to your extra deck. And it kind of also acts as a form of Crystal Wing. So quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that was special summoned from the extra deck until the end of the turn. Change its attack points to 0. Also, its effects are negated. So I think that's pretty good. And the fact that, it's a quick effect, that's just an understatement. And you can always go into Crystal Wing later on, and then best part about it, you could easily, like I said, just Pendulum summon right back out once you've done it. Now, of course, if it's destroyed by battle while in the main monster zone, you can put it on the Pendulum zone, but I never really do that, so yeah, I just don't feel like there's a need to. So Crystal Wing's the next card, negates anything, well, any monster effect from anywhere, so yeah. Then we got Borrowed Savage Dragon, which negates anything. You equip a link monster to it and give it counters based on however many link, well, whatever its link rating is, and it gains half the attack strength. For my last monsters, I'm running Absolute Dragon. Of course, just to help you, like, once it leaves the field, you can instantly summon Odd-Eyes Vortex Dragon, which negates anything just by shuffling back one of your Pendulum cards from your extra deck back into your main deck, so pretty good. But yeah, out of the two, Crystal Wing and Vortex, Vortex is probably the one I use the most, just because, it's just a little bit better, but it really depends on how your hand looks and how you want to combo off. Alright, so moving on to the side deck, I'm sorry. Running 3 copies in a Biru, just, for like combo heavy decks like Dragon Link, Orcust, if you're able to. Is like with Orcust, you kind of have to time it just right, but, most of the time you should be able to hit them. It also works really well against the Salad matchups, so yeah. 3 Denko Sekka. This deck does suffer from like trap heavy decks, so Denko Sekka is just a good way to bait those counter traps out. Or like against the Orcust, you play normal summon this, they can't even activate the Orchestrated Crescendo, so yeah. For mirror matches or just like decks that have like a similar strategy where you just basically pump out multiple negate boards, Dark Ruler No More is just one of those ways to get around that. I'm also playing Cosmic Cyclone on the side, for back row heavy strategies. And for like decks that are like super reliant on their trap cards, Royal Decree is also a good option too. So yeah. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Just be sure to stay tuned for a combo video. I'll have that right out as soon as this deck is uploaded. So I'll catch you guys again until then.